Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. The nation's two largest school systems received identical threats Tuesday of a large-scale attack. Los Angeles responded by shutting down the entire school district. New York dismissed the rumors and held classes. Hoax or not, experts say this shows the ability of terrorists to create the effect of terror without ever having to commit any violence. Caitlin Burke is on the story.
Two coasts, two threats, two different responses. Both New York City and Los Angeles public schools received an email threat Tuesday, which spoke of a large-scale jihadi attack using guns, bombs, and nerve gas. In an extremely rare move, Los Angeles quickly shut down every school in the city, canceling class for at least 650,000 students.
I, as superintendent, am not going to take the chance with the life of a student.
New York City responded differently, both the mayor and police commissioner calling the email a hoax and determining that there was no real threat to school children.
NYPD Intelligence Division has been in touch with the FBI throughout the morning, assessing the situation, and has come to the conclusion that the threat that was made was not credible.
Authorities say the email is still being investigated, but as a hoax. It's believed to have originated overseas. In the threat, the name Allah is not capitalized, and no verses from the Quran were used. That, along with other factors, led to the determination that it was not a credible threat. CBN News terrorism expert Eric Stakelbeck says this is still a win for terrorism.
In the very least, this was a great dry run for terrorists because it shows the paranoia and the psychological terror, the confusion you can sow among the American people.
Los Angeles defended its decision to shut down schools, saying the top priority is to keep kids safe.
Some have used words that I think are probably inappropriate, like hoax and other things, whether it's criminal mischief, whether it's somebody testing vulnerabilities of multiple cities. We still do not know enough to say definitively. What we do know is that it will be safe for our children to return to school tomorrow.
Los Angeles is only a short distance away from San Bernardino, where 14 people were killed 2 weeks ago following a Christmas party. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
America's Defense Secretary Ash Carter is in Iraq on an unannounced visit. He is following orders from the president to find ways to defeat ISIS. Carter is meeting with his commanders and Iraqi leaders. They will discuss likely America's willingness to send in attack helicopters and more troops to the fight. In the battle of the polling heavyweights, Donald Trump found himself at the center of attention at the final GOP debate of 2015. Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio also appeared in what could be a preview of things to come. CBN's David Brody is in Las Vegas with the scorecard.
This debate was not without some news, and leave it to Donald Trump to deliver it.
Are you ready to reassure Republicans tonight that you will run as a Republican and abide by the decision of the Republicans?
I really am. I'll be honest. I really am. I mean, people have been putting me to traction. I really am.
I can apply.
Trump and Ted Cruz came into this debate in the number 1 and 2 slots. But it was Jeb Bush, not Cruz, who wanted to tangle with Trump. It started at the outset when Trump defended his strict policies on immigration and temporarily banning Muslims from America.
We're talking about security. We're not talking about religion. We're talking about security.
Cruz tried to show how his approach differed from Trump's Muslim statement without insulting him.
I understand why Donald made that proposal. I introduced legislation in the Senate that I believe is more narrowly focused at the actual threat, which is radical Islamic terrorism. And what my legislation would do is suspend all refugees for 3 years from countries where ISIS or al-Qaeda control substantial territory.
But while Cruz went easy on Trump, Jeb Bush did not.
And if we're going to ban all Muslims, how are we going to get them to be part of a coalition to destroy ISIS? So Donald, is great at the one-liners, but he's a chaos candidate, and he'd be a chaos president.
And Bush also took issue when Trump said the following about taking out the family members of ISIS.
They may not care much about their lives, but they do care, believe it or not, about their families' lives.
The idea that that is a solution to this is just crazy.
We need a toughness. We need strength. We're not respected as a nation anymore.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
With Jeb's attitude, we will never be great again. That I can tell you.
Beyond the squabbling, one of the big storylines was the differences between Cruz and Marco Rubio. Despite Trump's dominance, both campaigns see each other as their main rival. So disagreements centered on plenty of topics, such as immigration.
He was fighting to grant amnesty and not to secure the border. I was fighting to secure the border.
Ted Cruz supported a 500% increase in the number of H-1B visas, the guest workers that are allowed into this country, and Ted supports doubling the number of green cards.
They also showed a split on whether to take out bad dictators around the world.
Assad is a bad man. Gaddafi was a bad man. Mubarak had a terrible human rights record, but they were assisting us, at least Gaddafi and Mubarak, in fighting radical Islamic terrorists.
But anti-American dictators like Assad, who helped Hezbollah, who helped get those IEDs into Iraq, if they go, I will not shed a tear.
As for Ben Carson, he's seen his poll numbers drop substantially over the last few weeks. Voters seem to question his foreign policy chops and nice guy demeanor in standing up against a vicious enemy like ISIS. Carson explained how he would go after them.
The job of the President of the United States is to protect the people of this country and to do what is necessary in order to get it done.
This is the last debate for 2015. We will all reconvene in mid-January, about a month from now, when the Republicans will gather in Charleston, South Carolina. So where do we stand right now? Well, Donald Trump in the pole position, Ted Cruz nipping at his heels, Marco Rubio a player still, and Ben Carson just hoping to survive. David Brody, CBN News in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Congressional leaders have reached a budget agreement on tax cuts and spending for 2016. Most notably, the bipartisan package extends dozens of tax breaks for businesses and families. But the deal does not include stripping Planned Parenthood of federal funds. House and Senate leaders hope the agreement will make it through both chambers Thursday and move on to President Obama's desk. Congress also passed a bill preventing a government shutdown through next Tuesday, giving lawmakers time to finish the long-term spending legislation. The Washington State high school football coach who was suspended for praying at games has filed a discrimination complaint. Coach Joe Kennedy has filed the complaint with the EEOC against Bremerton School District for his suspension in October. Kennedy prayed before and after games since 2008, but the school district asked him to stop this prayer this year. Kennedy's attorney says the district had no right to ban the coach from personally praying because his prayers were private and silent. Coming up, Creed is a knockout at the box office, but boxer Brent the Disciple Cooper has an inspirational story of his own. He's going to share it with us coming up next. Creed, the seventh installment of the iconic Rocky film series, continues to land knockout punches at the box office. Its total gross income after the first 3 weeks is around $80 million, making it one of the most successful films of the season, continuing the story from the previous Rocky movies. Michael B. Jordan stars as Apollo Creed's son, Donnie Johnson, and Sylvester Stallone plays a different role, Rocky Balboa, the retired boxer turned trainer, preparing Donnie for his first fight.
Rocky, Apollo's best friend, he became that father figure in a way. He became that mentor.
Stallone explains why he thinks the Rocky franchise continues to resonate so well.
It touches that chord that I'm scared, but if he can do it, I can do it. That kind of thing. I'm going to, take this best punch. And so I think the word is inspiration.
Indeed, the Rocky story still inspires many of today's athletes. One man in particular, Brent the Disciple Cooper, decided to pursue boxing after seeing the film, and he shares his own inspirational story with us in today's Faith on the Field.
When I first met Brent, one of the first two things I learned were his favorite movies and his favorite fighter. And his favorite movie was always Rocky.
Yo, you knocked him down. Won't you try knocking me down now?
Rocky wasn't the only man who got Brent Cooper interested in boxing. Cooper's father was a boxer. But that wasn't the only thing he picked up from his dad.
My dad always had a drinking problem. I mean, he always supported the family, and he worked, and he always take care of us as far as that. I mean, he was a great man, but he never could really be drinking.
Cooper's first drink was at age 3.
When you see your dad doing this stuff, you just think it's normal.
Yet, even as he developed a taste for alcohol.
I got saved actually when I was 7. I accepted Jesus. My cousin Denise led me to the Lord, and I'll never forget it. It was in her house, and I was laying on the floor, and I was like, I just accepted Jesus in my life.
This first salvation experience would be his anchor through a number of tough times. He continued pursuing his boxing career. But just as he was beginning to find success in the ring, life delivered a devastating blow. The death of his mother.
Like, Mom, I'm so excited. I can get you a big house. This, that, and the other. Mom was like, she's like, Jesus got a house waiting for me. A mansion. And that was the last time I talked to him.
To cope with the loss, he turned to alcohol and to drugs.
I started doing coke and just ecstasy and stuff like that.
His wife turned to another source for comfort.
I loved God and I loved Brent, and I knew that with his mother gone, she had passed away, and I knew that somebody had to stand up and pray for him. I'm sorry. If it wasn't me, it was nobody,
And little by little, he began to turn his life around. Brent knew it was time to recommit his life to Christ.
God spoke to me. And man, it changed my life. When you have real revelations of how much God loves you, it just changed my life.
It was the first time he went to church in years, and the pastor used the Rocky movie as a metaphor in his message. As Brent's love for Christ was reborn, so was his love for boxing.
When I started seeking after God again, he kind of started putting that little fire back in him. Well, maybe I can box,
After getting back in the ring, he found a spot in the NBC reality show, The Contender, where he got to meet the Rocky star.
The show came through town, The Contender, and they were scouting fighters, and I was actually sparring for a kid that was getting ready for a fight, and they happened to come to our gym that day.
He didn't win the contest, but the show gave Brent an even larger platform to share his love for Christ.
God made this show and he put it together, I believe, for Brent. I believe he put it together so that Brent could have the desires of his heart, and the other desire that Brent has now is to share Christ.
His nickname in the ring, the Disciple. Brent is no longer fighting in the ring, but still shares his faith with other athletes as a personal trainer. Brent and his wife will admit, it's not so much about the boxing anymore. It's about being a contender, fighting for the kingdom of God.
I'm just excited to see where he takes me. I don't care. It could be boxing or it could be whatever he wants. I'm just open to whatever God leads.
That's victory right there.
I'm glad he just never gave up on me. And anybody listening, he'll never give up on you.
God is the ultimate contender, pursuing you at all costs. Way to go, Brent. Truly a disciple. And coming up next, we are sitting down with hip-hop legend Rev Run. Hear how he's encouraging people to spread joy this holiday season. The holiday season is here, and the real reason for the season can easily get lost. But one man helping to keep people on track with his massive social media reach is hip-hop legend, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, and minister Rev Run. He joins us now to talk about some of his many projects. Let's begin first with talking about the music and your holiday list. Tell us about that.
Well, I have a holiday list of records that I compiled that you can get on the AT&T website. I'm doing a campaign with them called Inspired Mobility. And the list consists of some really good Christmas records, like obviously Run DMC had a record called Christmas in Hollis that's on there. Even further back, another rap Christmas record called Christmas Rappin' by Curtis Blow. Then I have the traditional Bing Crosby. I have a little bit of Luther, a little bit of Anita Baker, some Sade to keep it nice and smooth. So you can get that list. And I've just been out here on the internet and all over social media giving words of wisdom for years. And I'm just telling people, when you put up an inspiring word or encouraging word, to put inspired mobility after it. Put hashtag inspired mobility. So I'm spreading the word and keeping everybody in a positive mindset for the holidays, positive life, positive mind, positive action.
Mm-hmm. Because this can also be a time when people get down, correct?
Exactly. That's why I'm always here, and I give out, people worry during this time of year, and I give them a word of do your best and forget the rest. Sometimes you have to let go and hope and pray for a little bit of serendipity for God to slip his hand in and to give you some help. Sometimes we take on everything not knowing that God can come in and help. So you can stay in prayer.
It's funny, I was a fan of the reality series Run's House and really recall you ending every show with a message of inspiration. Today, right now, you've got more than 4 million followers on Twitter. Do you think your reach has grown since that time?
Yeah, it's growing every day. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have a bunch of television shows. I have a show that's on the Travel Channel right now. It's called Rev Runs Around the World. That comes on 10 p.m. on Travel Channel. And then I have a cooking show on the Cooking Channel. It's actually the #1 show on the Cooking Channel. And that's called Rev Run Sunday Suppers. So I keep giving these inspirational television shows and these inspirational messages to keep people's spirit up. And I believe that's my calling at this point in my life, is to just keep inspiring.
In many ways, I think your family also helped to create reality TV for families and quality television. Tell me about the premise behind the Supper series. What made you want to do that?
Well, people are out eating. They're doing a lot of fast foods, and they don't sit and talk and love and come together. So I came up with the concept of me. I was getting an empty nest with all my children moving out. I was like, what if I could just put together one night a week, just one night where we all sit down and eat together. Angela, come back home. Diggy, come off the road for a minute. Vanessa, if you can get in, come and sit down with us and have dinner once a week, or even if it's once a month. But it's just a show to show people, let's get back together. Let's get back to the basics of having a meal together, breaking bread, and loving one another. So that's Rev Run Sunday Suppers. And actually, that's going to be premiering January 27th on the Cooking Channel to be our 4th season of Rev Run Sunday Suppers.
Beautiful. Now, you were talking about the series on the Travel Channel as well. You've traveled the world. Why do this show?
Well, that was also showing people, it's just imagine the world as a book, and if you stay on one page, that's just staying where you live. Just showing people, get out and about if you can. If you have the means to make moves and show your family other places, even if you have to drive there, or when you have your little vacation, to try to get out of your place so people can learn and your children can experience other cultures. So that's another ministry of mine. I find that these television channels and these places are actually my pulpit. As MTV was my first pulpit, now the Cooking Channel and the Travel Channel. And we have another show, it's a relationship show coming with Tyrese Gibson, who's a very single man and I'm a very married man, and we're talking to people about relationships, like why is certain men not committing as much these days, and why am I married and why is Tyrese not married? So when we spoke to Oprah about that, she fell in love with it and she just pushed everybody out the way, and it's going to come out on January 23rd on the OWN network. So I'm very excited about that. And the name of that show is It's Not You, It's Men. And that's the name of that show, and that's coming.
I like it. People hearing all that you do, how are you managing to do all that?
Well, when you do something that you love, it's not work at all. So I believe that at this period of my life that I'm here to inspire. I'm here to not only myself, but others, and God makes a way and God makes the time. So I'm grateful for all that he's put in my hands to share with the world, and the talents and inspiring people. I'm really excited that AT&T called me and with this campaign, and I'm giving out words of wisdom and telling people to put hashtag inspired mobility after every time they put something up on the internet. Just getting a call from AT&T to get involved with them was an honor. So I'm very grateful that I can get these words of wisdom out, and I can continue a conversation across the world of inspired mobility. And people are putting up words of wisdom, and that's all I'm asking is if you just put that hashtag behind it, it'll help me a lot, and it'll help the world to become more positive on the internet. These days they have many cyberbullying and all this stuff. But if we can get more and more people putting up positive things, the world will be a better place.
Rev Run, thank you so much for your time. It is so good to speak with you. America has voted Jordan Smith winner of NBC's The Voice. Smith is a worship leader and the son of a pastor couple in Harlan, Kentucky. His performance of the Christmas classic, Mary Did You Know, on Monday's finale claimed the top spot on iTunes. That is the second time this season he's done that. Ron Brendel, Smith's voice teacher at Lee University, told CBN News his heart is as big as his voice, and the man you see on the screen is the same person he knows in real life. And you can see that full interview with Brendel at our website, cbnnews.com. Congratulations, Jordan. Well, it is time now for your Wednesday word, and today consider the word yield, and here's why. Two people can't drive the same vehicle at the same time, so let Jesus have the wheel because he can clearly see the finish line. Consider that and make this a wonderful Wednesday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about. You can find it at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today as well. You can always connect with us online. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a great day. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow.